Everybody, thank you so much for coming back to another video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about Awake. And as you guys can tell from the thumbnail and the title, I'm joined here in this video by my buddy David from Interpreting the Stars. Very happy to have you here in this video to talk about Awake. We have each other on Facebook and we instant message pretty often, or direct message, whatever people call it nowadays. And sometimes we'll tell each other what movies we're reviewing or what's coming up next, or even sometimes we'll show each other upcoming thumbnails. And I showed him a list of some of my upcoming movie reviews as far as the thumbnails. He saw Awake in there and just happened to mention that he loved Awake. So I figured, why not have him here in this video? Because for me, this is a movie, and David speaks about it as well, that is very underrated. Its Rotten Tomato score is not very good at all, and it's one of those movies that I feel was overlooked. Usually whenever I mentioned it to people, nobody really knows anything about this movie, and it's a movie that I just always had very fond memories of when I originally saw it back in the day, and a movie that I think I owned at some point, but I think in a move or something I may have lost it, so I just recently repurchased it on Blu-ray. It looked great on Blu-ray, and I'm really happy to have it in my collection. I'll go ahead and start this review off by saying I love this movie, if you didn't already get that for me calling it so underrated. This is a movie that isn't perfect and it's not phenomenal, but it's a movie that I really enjoy. And for the kind of movie that it is, I feel like it just hits the nail right on the head for what it needs to be. I think that the reveals and everything that happens in the story is really well done. This film is essentially like a drama, thriller kind of film. I just really enjoy the cast of this film. You have Hayden Christensen, Jessica Alba, Terrence Howard, so many other really talented people that show up throughout this movie. And it's a movie that I feel is tense. The story is really well told. The relationships are something that you kind of get invested in. You're interested in what's going to happen, and it's a movie that kind of keeps you really locked in on what's going on. Now, there are some slow moments in this film, and there's some things that I feel could have been trimmed out just a little bit, or some scenes that I feel that maybe could have been reshot for better performances. But for the most part, this is a film that I really do thoroughly enjoy. The basic premise of this film is you have Hayden Christensen's character, who's a fairly wealthy man. He works in a business with his mother. His mother is the boss of this business. They kind of have that mother-son relationship dynamic where the mom is pretty overbearing. You know, she really loves her son. She really cares for him, but it kind of makes her a little bit overbearing. He's a little afraid to kind of tell her things about his life because he's afraid of how she'll react, and because they're so tied together with just the way that they are and their business. You know, it's one of those mother-son dynamics where it's not your normal mother-son dynamic. She loves him so much so, but she's a little bit overbearing, and it kind of makes him fearful of kind of sharing parts of his life with her. And right at the beginning of the movie, we're introduced to his relationship, his lover, played by Jessica Alba, and the big surprise right there at the very beginning of the movie, I'm not going to get into any real big spoilers with this movie, is the fact that she's actually the assistant to his mom. So if she finds out that he's dating her, it could be a big problem. Though he is in love with her, he wants to marry her, and yeah, they have this really sweet, cute bond at the beginning of the film. Hayden Christensen gets a lot of shit specifically for his performances in the Star Wars prequels. I love Hayden Christensen. If you guys have watched my reviews, I don't think he's a perfect actor, and I think that sometimes even in the Star Wars films, he doesn't always give the best performance, but I really enjoyed him as Anakin Skywalker. So after Star Wars, I was really excited to seek him out in other things, and Awake is a movie that I think he gives a really solid performance in, and again, I just think it's overlooked, and I think he's overlooked as an actor. Now, that's not to say he's a phenomenal actor, and I mentioned a little bit ago that I feel like some of the scenes in this movie could probably have benefited from another take for some better performances, and sometimes I feel Hayden Christensen was, you know, maybe at the center of that criticism, but for the most part, I think he gives a really great performance in this film, and I really enjoy the overall tension that comes from this film. So in this film, we end up finding out that Hayden Christensen's character actually has a bad heart, and he's been on a list for a heart transplant. He's finally got the heart transplant going on, and yeah, he wants to get it done by his best friend that he met who saved his life in the past, the last time his heart had some sort of issue, and he's played by Terrence Howard, who was a surgeon. And yeah, his mom wants him to go get the surgery done by somebody that she trusts more, somebody that she knows more, and who has better credibility on an overall level. And Hayden Christensen doesn't want to do that. He really trusted his friend, and yeah, he ends up going to get the surgery done. And the main crux of the film is that the anesthesia that they use on him does not fully work. It knocks him out, and he's just lying there, but he's completely conscious. He can hear everything that's happening. He can't move. He can't do anything. He can't say anything, but he feels all of the pain of the entire surgery. And yeah, it's a very tense movie to watch. You know, most of the movie, as far as Hayden Christensen goes, is in his head. You know, he's in his head. head, and they do kind of bring that to life. They show you what's going on in his mind, which I thought was really cool, because then Hayden Christensen is able to give us this performance inside of his head, and kind of being able to bring his mind and what he's seeing and what he's hearing to life via him kind of acting within his dreams, or within his mind, I should say. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. He's sitting there listening in on stuff. There is this dramatic twist and turn kind of story that goes and plays out. So the things that he's hearing, the things that he knows that are happening while he's supposed to be knocked out, is really what makes this movie really great. Now, before I continue rambling about this movie, let's go ahead and hear what my buddy David at Interpreting the Stars had to say about this.
Hey guys, back on Anthony's channel. Talking about Awake. Now, I've been accused a lot in my life about only enjoying movies that other people enjoy, that I'm a sheeple. But every once in a while, I come across a movie that I think a majority of people don't like, and I actually adore it. Awake is one of these movies. I have no idea why Rotten Tomatoes has this movie rated so incredibly low. For the most part, I understand where critics come from, and I can understand, even if I disagree with them, why they hate a movie. Awake is not one of those movies. I think I enjoy everything about it for the most part. I mean, if I was forced to actually say something bad about it, I would say that, the first half of the film, maybe even less than that, it's a little bit sappy. It's very romantic, I would say. There's so much focus on Clay's relationship with Jessica Alba's character, and that's in sharp contrast, kind of, to the horrifying tension for the rest of the film. But I do like contrast. It's just in the first half of the movie, like I said, maybe even less than that, it's a little bit too sappy, I would say. But the rest of the movie I love. The very first thing that you notice in the movie is the absolutely haunting and chilling musical score. It's like piano, it's a little bit of xylophone maybe, and it just sets in stone what the rest of the movie is going to feel like, which is chilling, which is haunting, which is just tense. After the music, you're going to see the movie, so you're going to notice the cinematography behind it, and the cinematography kind of works hand in hand with the music, because even the very way that the movie looks is just as haunting and chilling atmospherically when you watch the movie. You know what you're getting into when you start the film. You know that something about it is going to be something that crawls under your skin, and it does. And after that, you get into the nitty-gritty of the film, what it's all about, what's going to happen. Now, we're talking about the inciting incident when Clay goes under general anesthesia for the first time. You get the premise, you get the concept of what's going on, and how imprisoned Clay feels while under anesthesia awareness, I think it's called. So he's awake, but he's asleep. He can hear everything that's happening around him. He can feel what's happening to his body. He can feel the roughness of the unsharpened blades as they cut into his skin. He can feel the cold ammonium, which kind of tingles his skin a little bit. And obviously, he can feel them cutting into and ripping apart his ribs to get to his heart. And what makes it so much worse is the fact that during all this, he is unable to do anything about it. He is imprisoned. He is powerless to everything that surrounds him. It's crazy, and it even gets crazier than that, because it's not just about, anesthesia awareness. It's that not everything is as it appears to be in the film. Stuff is going on behind the scenes that Clay only starts to realize once he's under, and he overhears the doctors talking about some stuff that's, I wish I could talk to you about, but that would spoil you on everything, and this movie is just so hard to talk about without spoiling literally everything. It's just that the deeper the film goes, the more you learn about what's going on and how absolutely imprisoned Clay is in his own mind. And everybody does such a great job performance-wise. I know a lot of people don't like Hayden Christensen because the prequels ruined Star Wars for them. I've never had a problem with him, and I actually think this is potentially his best performance. Terrence Howard as well has always been a pretty good actor in my opinion, and this is probably the best performance I've seen from him. Same with Jessica Alba, all great stuff. Fisher Stevens is in this movie as well. I know him from Early Edition. And now, without giving too much away, this film really has some big messages to tell. There's definitely a theme of unconditional trust when it clashes with unforgivable betrayal. And these are themes that are constantly approached in this film in the best possible light. It's all about these people. It's all about relationships. It's all about trust. It's all about what's going on behind the scenes. For instance, Clay is going to his friend's hospital. Even though he's like the richest guy in the world, and he can afford the richest doctors, the smartest doctors, he's going to this lowly hospital that's had malpractice suits because one of the doctors that works there is one of his best friends, you know? It's all about trust, you know? And so it approaches these topics in a way that I don't think is super predictable. I think when you watch it for the first time ever, there's still a lot of twists and turns that come along the way that you'd never expect. And like I said, I really love this movie. There's very little that I have to say that's bad about it. I don't know, guys, from an unbiased technical vantage point, I think this movie did a lot right. Like I said, the first things that you notice is the music, it's the cinematography, it's the editing, it's the dialogue, then it's the concept, the horrifying tension. A whole lot of stuff is going on in this movie right from the get-go, just from how technically well it's made. I can't help but give the technical score 94%. And because I personally love this film and find almost nothing wrong with it, my bias score is a lot higher at 98%. Averaging out the two scores together, we come to 96%, 96 out of 100 possible stars, granting this film with a letter grade of A+. So thank you, Anthony, for suggesting I watch this movie. I think it was on my watch list to eventually watch whenever I ran into it. And I definitely think that more people have to give this film a shot because I think it's underrated. I think people kind of skip over it once they heard, you know, Hayden Christensen and ooh boy, check it out. It's definitely worth a watch. Peace out.
As usual, a big thanks to my buddy David for being here in this video. I love having you in this video, man. Really appreciated hearing what you had to say about this movie. And I'm glad that on an overall, we agree that this film is great. And this is a movie that's so underrated. When I found out you love this film too, I knew I needed to have you here in this video. So as usual, guys, you can find the link to his channel down below in the description box, Interpreting the Stars. He posts new videos every single morning, so definitely go give him some love. He's a very consistent YouTuber, way more consistent than me. Appreciated having you here in this video, my friend. So yeah, like I mentioned, this is a movie that just does really cool, interesting things with the story. You have this character who's now getting surgery and is incapable of moving, and all the acting that Hayden Christensen has to do is within his head. A lot of it is just voiceover, honestly, while we're watching the outside world. And there's so many twists and turns in the story with the surgeons and other things that are happening on the outside, and it's just a very, very tense movie. And I honestly can't even imagine that kind of thing happening to you. Anesthesic awareness, I believe is how it's said. Yeah, you know, that is just crazy. The idea that you could be knocked out, you know, that your body can't move, but that you were still conscious and you were there and you were present and you know what's happening to your body, which is crazy. Now, from what I understand when I read things, it's not as common for you to actually feel the pain. There are people who said in some articles that I read that they were there, they were conscious, they couldn't say anything, they had to sit through the whole surgery like that until they came to, but that they didn't feel the pain as much. So, you know, I'm sure it's, you know, it's kind of heightened a little bit for the movie, but from what I understand, some people do feel the pain, and I couldn't imagine. Can you imagine getting heart surgery, having them slice you open and all this kind of stuff? They think that you're knocked out and you're just lying there, your body is incapable of moving or even opening your eyes or saying a word, and you have to sit there and feel everything get sliced up, especially for a heart transplant. Like, your heart is literally going to be taken out of your body. Like, they have to crack your ribs. Like, a lot of this movie is very tense just on the surgery on its own. But then what I really love about this film is they were able to build a very dramatic story for the characters that are outside of the surgery. I think the way that they were able to wrap that up and create a very compelling narrative that keeps you gripped is really awesome. I watched this with my girlfriend Haley, and she had never seen it before, and she was really, really into what was happening. She really enjoyed Hayden Christensen in the movie, and yeah, I think we just both agreed it's an incredibly underrated film. So that's where I'm going to wrap up this review. There's not much to say. I think it's a movie with great performances, with great twists and turns, and a great dramatic story with some really, really tense moments around a very unique premise and plot. I think Hayden Christensen is great in this movie, and is one of his more underrated performances in my opinion. And yeah, I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Have you seen this movie? Have you not seen this movie? And if you haven't seen it, are you interested? I would love to hear some thoughts of some people who went and checked this out on my recommendation. I think that says it right there. I do recommend this movie, so definitely check it out, guys. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. The link to Interpreting the Stars is down below in the description box. Go give them some love. Comment your thoughts down below if you've seen this movie, or maybe you haven't seen this movie, and if you haven't, go check it out. Also, I just hit a little bit over 900 subscribers. I am incredibly, incredibly grateful to each and every single one of you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Whether you watch one video, whether you just watch a video here and there, it doesn't really matter. I'm super appreciative to each and every one of you guys who likes and comments and engages, even those who leave dislikes. You know, I appreciate everybody who just at all stops by and clicks on this video or any of these videos. So again, a huge thanks to helping me get over 900 subscribers. I'm really, really excited to work up to 1,000 subscribers. It has been a long, long road, but I'm super, super excited. So thank you guys again. Hit that subscribe button if you guys have not already done so, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.